Hey guys, John Lee Dumas here, founder and host of EO Fire, and you're listening to Bravepreneur Parents Academy with Balaji O.
Welcome to Bravepreneur Parents Academy, where the world's most inspiring entrepreneurs reveal their most defining childhood moments and share their legacy for raising brave little heroes who will grow up to change the world. And now, he still reads comic books under the blanket at bedtime. Please welcome your host, best-selling author, award-winning speaker, and self-confessed geek dad, Balaji O. You know, like the hotel in Vegas? Yeah, no, that's really his name. Balaji O.
Hey, Bravepreneurs, welcome to another edition of the Bravepreneur Parents Academy. Today, we are talking to Shae Bynes. Shae is a passionate storyteller, 3-time best-selling author, and a teacher on God-centered business and marriage. She's the author of 8 books and the host of the Driven Entrepreneur podcast. Shae has been a best friend of mine, an advisor, an accountability mentor of mine for many, many years. I think we've known each other for like 2 decades. It's kind of ridiculous. Makes me feel old. But me and Shae go way back, so you guys are going to get to hang out with us, just a couple of friends, kicking it old school and talking about parenting and entrepreneurship. Shae is in Florida. She's addicted to sunshine. This girl does not like cold weather. And she's married to Phil, her high school sweetheart. Shae has a couple of beautiful, beautiful daughters. We will get to learn about them as well. Please help me welcome Shae Bynes. What's up, Shae Beezy?
What's up, B?
How's it going?
It's going great.
Thanks for coming on the show. This is a real big treat for me because I get to interview you for the first time. You're a captive audience. You actually have to answer all my questions.
I do. I'm looking forward to it.
You might not be saying that in a minute.
We'll see.
As we mentioned, Shae is the host of the Driven Entrepreneur podcast, but she also has a couple of other passions. Shae serves on the board of the nonprofits Kids Count Incorporated, so she's very passionate about youth financial literacy. She's very passionate about youth entrepreneurship as well. Shae, tell us how old your girls are and tell us a little bit about them and entrepreneurship.
Sure. So my oldest daughter, Anissa, she's 14 years old. So she is in the 9th grade. And my youngest, Nia, is 7, and she is in the 2nd grade. And both of them are entrepreneurs and have been for at least a couple years.
Look at that. Look at that. A 14-year-old and a 7-year-old, and they've been doing the entrepreneur thing for a few years. Let's talk about Anissa first.
Sure.
What kind of businesses is she doing, and how did she get started?
Okay, so when she was 10, that's when we got started with her, because it was at that point where she had this interest in things that I wanted her to spend her own money on. And so I said, okay, well, if you want those things, then you need to learn how to make some money around here, you know? And so we started off with just doing simple things like, you know, a commissions-based chart where it's like certain things you have to do because you're a part of the family. But then these other things, if you do these extra things, you can make money this way. But that wasn't enough. So I said, okay, let's kind of take stock of your interests, the things you know how to do and all of that, and figure out what you can do to make some money. And so we came up with, now her passion was baking, but she didn't know how to bake at the time. And so, but what she did know, she understood computers. She said, I do know how to sell stuff or whatever. So what we did with her is she would get items from people who wanted to sell things, and then she would sell it for them on eBay or on Craigslist. And then share, you know, the proceeds from the sale with them. And so she made a good like $500 in a few months with that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Look at that. That is cool.
And she blogged about it and everything. It was really fun.
Wow, that's amazing. So I want to go back to something you mentioned, Shae. You talked about a commission-based system.
Yes.
This is going to be interesting to a lot of parents because we all have this challenge where, okay, the kids are getting to that age where they should be doing chores now,
yes.
But it's still a bit of a struggle. It's like it's less work for me to just do the chore
right.
than to chase this child around the house. So how did you demarcate between what chores or work Anissa ought to just be doing anyway,
right,
and the ones you should pay her for. And how did she take that conversation?
Yeah, so we had a conversation and then a bit of a negotiation, right? So we had, I just kind of we sat at the kitchen table, I pulled the paper out, and we were writing down, okay, what are some of the things that you could help with around the house? And so it would be things like, I could put the dishes away in the dishwasher, I could sweep, I could clean bathrooms, stuff like that. So we kind of went through the list, and I'm like, okay, so I picked a couple of things. I did the first round through. I said, okay, I think that these 3 things you should be doing just because you are in this house and you don't pay rent. So you do these things because you're a part of the family and it helps. But let's talk about you cleaning bathrooms as a bonus. And because I hate cleaning the bathroom. I hate it. So I was just like, if she vacuums, if she does the bathrooms, and we have multiple bathrooms, we have 3 bathrooms in the house. So it's like, you can get money for every bathroom that you clean. So the master, yours, and the guest one downstairs. And we just negotiated. So I put those things there, and then I put a dollar amount associated with each of those things. She negotiated with me a little bit. She wanted a little bit more on some items. And so I said, okay.
All right.
Yeah. So I gave her a little bit more because I was impressed with her negotiation tactics. And so I gave her a little leeway there. And when we were happy, when we were both satisfied, we're like, okay, this is the plan. And so and then we kept track of it. We put it on the kitchen fridge, and she would mark it. So every time she would do it, she'd put a mark by it. And at the end of the week, we would add up how much money she made, and I would give it to her.
Wow, that is really cool. Now, how long did that last? Is that something, well, she's making the big money now. She's selling stuff on eBay. So I don't know if she's still cleaning bathrooms. Well, how long did that last?
I think that we probably did that for about 6 months or so. I believe it was less than a year, though. And then
6 months.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. I mean, she did it for a while, and she made she made decent money, but we're only talking about a few dollars a week. Right. So, when she had these more expensive tastes, it was necessary for us to find another way for her to make more money.
Very, very funny. I love that. And so she started selling stuff on the internet.
Yes.
Because she had some computer skills already.
Yes.
Where did she find the customer base, though?
So what we did was, it's like, okay, well, what's the easiest place to start? Friends and family. So the first thing that she did is she contacted family members to tell them about, she created these little flyers. And the first thing she did, and this was hard for her too, because she's a pretty shy kid. And so I had her making calls to family members and to friends to introduce to them what she was doing and find out if she could be of service to them. And this was very challenging for her, but she did a great job. Yeah.
This is like cold calling.
Yeah, she had, but see, it was warm calling in the beginning because it was family and friends. And then after she did that, I'm like, okay, now call some of my friends, right? So like people that you don't know. And so she started with the people she did know. Then she moved to people that I knew, but she didn't know. And then we graduated to the neighborhood, which was a bunch of people we had no idea who they were, but she passed out flyers.
Right.
So that's how we did it. And then I also helped her out a little bit because I did share on Facebook that she was doing this, because every time she had a blog post, I would share it. And so there were people who were friends of mine, local and not local, who were like, oh my gosh, they were just so impressed that she was doing it that they're like, hey, I have some stuff I want her to sell for me. I mean, she got Coach bags and like all kinds of stuff shipped from other places from people who had kind of high end items that said, hey, help me sell this, because they thought it was cool that she was a kid and doing this.
That is amazing. I just want to know if you ever said this to her: coffee is for closers. Did you ever say that?
No, I never said that.
Because it sounds like you were running a hardcore boiler room style.
It wasn't. No,
pull out the phone book.
No. I did push her when it came to making phone calls, because I thought it was an important skill for her to develop. But outside of that, generally speaking, I really let her pace things the way she wanted to, and I told her that this is your business. This is not mine. In fact, when we stopped it, it was because I noticed that she was running out of steam. Like she didn't have the interest in it anymore. And I wasn't willing to be the one to drive for her. And so once she was, it was to the point where I was like, okay, you're not really doing anything here. We had to have the sit down and say, okay, is this something you still want to do? And eventually she's like, you know what? I just really don't. So, okay. All right. So then we had to move on to the next thing. But she gave it a good run for all of 5th grade.
Is that like the kid that wants the dog and loves it for 2 months, but then stops walking it? And then the parents walking the dog in the rain, asking themselves, why did I get this dog?
Well, I'll tell you what, she did actually ask for a dog for 5 years, and she finally got the dog. But the agreement is that the moment she stops taking care of that dog is the moment we find a new family for the dog. And people think that we're horrible for saying that because they're truly dog people, but we never were. My daughter is the dog person, not her mommy and daddy.
Interesting.
Yes.
Interesting. Okay. I like this. Okay. So Anissa ran for most of 5th grade. She ran this eBay buying and selling business.
Yeah. eBay and Craigslist.
eBay and Craigslist. Wonderful. And I love that you had her. You know, I was laughing, but I really love that you had her making the phone calls, because that's not easy. It's not easy for anyone,
right.
But particularly somebody who's shy
Yes.
or an introvert.
Yes.
You know, so goodness, that's something that that should go into her college essay or something.
It really should. And she had to blog it. I also asked her to blog it because I wanted her to develop in her writing skills and just expressing herself. And so I did have her do that. And I told her it would be really good advertising, which was true because she got business because of that blog.
Parents, send your children to the Shae Bootcamp. She'll have them closing 7-figure deals in no time. Just $3.99. Okay, so we've talked about Anissa. That was Anissa's first business.
Yes.
And what was the name of that business, Shae?
It was called Anissa Sells Your Stuff. And yeah, Anissa sells your stuff. Yeah, that's what it was. That's what it was.
Anissa sells your stuff.
Yeah.
That's got a really, really nice ring to it. I love that. Okay, let's talk about little baby Nia.
Yeah.
So you got your youngest. She is now how old?
She is now 7. Yes.
She's now 7. So you're telling me that she started a business 2 years ago.
Yes.
At age 5.
Yes. So what happened was she was seeing her sister.
She making cold calls too, Shae.
No, she does not make cold calls, but she is not an introvert, and she has no problem talking to complete strangers about her business. Like she has no problem at all. She talked to Anissa's vice principal at the school about it because she just happened to run into her. I mean, she tells people at church, like she doesn't care. You know, that's just who she is. And so when she was 4, she asked, because at that time when she was 4, I was still working with Anissa. I think Anissa was just kind of finishing up with what she was doing at that time. And she's like, I want to have a business, mommy. And I'm like, look, Nia, I would really love to help you with that. But, you know, you are 4, and that means I would have to do a lot of the work. And I'm working with your sister right now. So she said, well, how about when I'm 5? And I said, okay, when you turn 5, we'll be able to do it. I said, what do you want to do? And she goes, well, I want to sell dresses and lipsticks and lip glosses and things that make women feel beautiful. And I said, okay, baby.
Wow.
I said, okay, that's fine. So when you're 5, I'll work with you. And you better believe that the couple weeks before her 5th birthday, she was already talking to me like, okay, I'm going to be 5 soon, mommy. I'm going to be 5 soon. So remember you said that when I turn 5, you were going to help me with this business. So I said, okay, you're right. I did say that. I didn't think you were going to remember, you know, this quickly, but yes, I will do that. And so when she turned 5, basically what we did was she really wanted to sell lipstick and lip gloss. All right. And so I'm not really into makeup. I do wear it, but I'm not into it. But I have a friend who is like Cadillac driving Mary Kay rep. And so I'm like, you know what? Let me hook her up. I'm very keen on this, hooking my kids up with people who are skilled at the things they're passionate about. So I hooked her up with my friend who is in Mary Kay and found out what the requirements were for her to get started. We did a crowdsourcing campaign for her 5th birthday to launch a business so basically the crowdsourcing campaign wasn't, hey, here's money because she wants to start the business. This was our way of getting pre-orders so that she could buy her inventory to start the business. And she got like over $200 worth of orders in a week.
What?
And so on her 5th birthday, she launched her business, and it was like Nia sells lipsticks, you know? And so she had her Mary Kay party at the house. To this day, she still sells Mary Kay products, and it's hilarious.
We're going to need a reality show crew to just come hang out with your family. Your 4-year-old is like, okay, Mom, I need to do something with my life. You know, I need to find myself. Get me a job. Wow.
I think it's really exciting for them to know that they have options, you know? I didn't really know that growing up, you know? It was really just and I don't begrudge my parents at all for that. I had a great upbringing, but the only thing I knew was go to school, go to college. College was not an option. You go to college, and after you go to college, you go get a good job. That's what it was. And so it's been awesome to let my kids see very early on that they have options. If they choose to get a job, that's great, but just know that you don't have to. And you could also have a job and have a business if that's what you choose to do as well.
That is fascinating because, as you pointed out, your parents were not entrepreneurs.
Right.
And even you, starting out for a good portion of your career, you were not an entrepreneur.
That's right.
And yet, you're an entrepreneur now. Your husband is also Phil.
Yes.
And now you've got these two budding, can't even call them budding entrepreneurs. They're young, but they're running businesses.
They're doing their thing.
This is really impressive. You said something that I think is really important, Shae, a couple of minutes ago, which is that you like to link your kids up with people who are strong in their areas of passion.
Yes. I mean, that's
why is that?
Well, because, I'm not going to be good at everything. And they're not going to be good at everything. And I want them to be able to be the best, at the thing that they desire. And so I don't want to be a stumbling block to them. I just want to be a support to them. And so I want to connect them with people. It's also helpful for them to get to know other adults and see what they're doing and things of that nature as well. But to me, it was really important to connect them to the people who really know. So for instance, Anissa, after she did that business, that was really about making money and learning what it's like to be in business. But she was passionate about baking, but she didn't know how to bake. So after that business, it was like, okay, I know you said you were passionate about baking, but you don't know how to bake. So now you need to learn your craft. And when you learn your craft, then you can actually start to sell it. And so a friend of mine from high school, her younger sister has a business, an event planning business, but she is a phenomenal baker. And so I asked her if Anissa could help her out. And she said yes. And now to this day, she still helps her. She helps her teach little kids how to make cake pops. And she's her cake pop mentor, right? So she's helped her a lot. And I have a friend even in Kansas City who has a bakery, and she connects with her on Skype and connects with her on Skype or on the phone and gets tips and things like that. Cause I cannot help her. I mean, I'd have to go and research this stuff. And I mean, who has time for that? Like I've got a business too.
You kind of have your own
business.
I
got my own thing to go do too. So I fully support them and just connect them to the right people.
So, Shae, one thing that a lot of entrepreneur parents might consider if they want to get their kids into entrepreneurship is bringing their kids into their own business. Did you or Phil consider that? And have you actually done that before? So what we have done is when, the whole take your child to work day thing. Okay. So when there was take your child to work day, we would involve the kids in our respective businesses. But what we learned very quickly in that time is that our businesses were not the things that they were interested in. And so it was good to give them experiences and have them help us out with things so they could learn more about what we did. But it was it didn't take long to figure out that that's not their thing. And so we wanted to figure out what's your thing. And so in that first conversation I had with Anissa, when I realized her thing was baking, but she didn't have the skills, it was like, okay, great. So we know that's a future step for you. But what can we do now to fulfill the goal that you have, which is to make money based off of the skills you already have and at least some level of interest. So you can get started there, but then working towards the thing that you really, really want to do. And I mean, and it is her passion. I mean, she's going to be going to a culinary arts magnet program. She's looking at culinary schools for after she's done with high school. I mean, it's really her thing. It truly is. This is amazing. And the crazy thing is, we adults can really learn a lot from what your kids are doing. For example, the fact that, okay, if you're in a business right now as an adult and you need to make a lot of money. Yes. Rather than pursuing perhaps that long-term passion project, you may need to leverage some of your existing skills. Yes. Some of your existing contacts. Yes. Or your mom's contacts. Yes. Yes. Whatever you got to do. Work with your current sphere of influence to get yourself off the ground, but don't lose sight of where you're trying to go. That's right. It's like leverage mentor. I love how she's leveraging mentors rather than trying to figure everything out herself. That's right. That's right. And then there's YouTube University, which is also very helpful. Of course.
So she learns a lot. She learns a lot from that too.
This is really, really cool. Okay, Shae, so aside from what Anissa's doing and what Nia's doing, if parents out there want to get their kids excited about entrepreneurship, want to get them trying entrepreneurship, do you have any suggestions as to where to start? Is it the lemonade stand? Is it, looking through their toys and video games and hobbies and starting there?
Right.
What's a good first step?
So a couple of things. One, I would introduce them to the idea of kids being in business by having them. I mean, if you just did a quick YouTube search, right, on kid entrepreneurs, teen entrepreneurs or whatever, you'll find videos of kids doing some awesome stuff. I mean, there's kids that have been on Shark Tank. There's kids who have not been on Shark Tank, but they have businesses and they've got videos, and kind of give them examples and show them people who are doing it. But as far as the exercise that I took my daughter through, we just took out a piece of paper. I said, okay, we're gonna do a quick exercise, and this is gonna help us figure out, what your starting point will be in business. The first thing I asked was, what are the things that you are interested in? You love doing these things, or you love these particular things. And she made that list. Then I said, okay, now, put a line. Now the next column is write down all the things that you are good at doing. And I told her no filter, like just write it out. Don't judge the things that you're going to write. It doesn't matter. If it's, I love to play video games and I like, whatever, it doesn't matter what it is, just write it. And so she did that in the second column. And then I said, okay, now I want you to look at your first column and look at your second column. And I want you to write down all the things, put a check mark, by all the things that you think you could actually make money doing from your first list and from your second list, right? And so she did that. And then we looked at that list and we said, okay, now we got to look at the things that you're skilled at, right? And see if any of those things you're skilled at match any of the things that you're interested in, and start there. And that's how we did it. So it was just it took 20 minutes, and that's how we came up with something. But it also was really great because it uncovered that a very strong interest in baking. That's what uncovered that when she was 10.
Wow.
And then, but it was like, okay, we're going to put that on the shelf, but we're not going to forget it. But here are some things that you do like to do. You like to sell, you want to sell that you like video games and you know how to sell things. Okay, well, you can sell some video games. You could sell some of these things or whatever. And then she realized that there was a lot of different things she could sell. So that's kind of how that progressed. But the reason why she didn't stick with it long is because she didn't have a strong enough interest in selling stuff that she had no interest in. So it's like now she does baking and she sells that. So she's interested because she likes to sell baked goods because she likes to bake. So it puts the things together.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. I love that. Really helpful process. I'll be honest, I wouldn't have gone into nearly that level of detail, but then that's why Shae was my accountability mentor. She is very good at detail. And folks, go ahead and borrow Shae's process. Is that okay?
Yes.
If we borrow your process? Okay. Go ahead and steal her process.
It doesn't take long. I've done it with lots of kids.
There you go. Shae knows her stuff. Okay, Shae, so we've talked a lot about your kids, but you're not going to get off the hook.
Okay.
We're about to put you on the hot seat. We're putting you into the lightning round.
Okay.
Are you ready?
I think so.
All right, we're taking you back to your childhood.
Okay, this will be fun.
All right, Shae, we're going to go super fast through this. Favorite superhero growing up?
Oh, gosh. Does Jim from Jim and the Holograms count? Was she a superhero?
You are the second person to say that on the
serious?
show. And I'm very upset because every time my wife, Tamara, remembers this show, she sings the theme song for about 3 days.
Jim is truly outrageous.
Edit that out. Sorry, guys. Favorite video game growing up?
Oh, man, I had so many. Burger Time, Donkey Kong, Frogger.
Oh, gosh.
I had a lot of them. I was a big video game player.
Wow, you are not playing around. Okay. What about your favorite cartoon show?
Oh, gosh, lots of those, too. Alvin and the Chipmunks, the Flintstones, the Jetsons.
Ah, the good ones.
Yeah,
the good ones.
yeah.
Okay. All right. You're redeeming yourself somewhat. What motivated you as a child? You weren't an entrepreneur back then. So what motivated you?
Gosh, I was the kid who just loved to have fun, and I also loved people. So I loved hanging out with my friends. And I just love to have fun. So pretty much like any kid. So if it was an activity and I was going to have fun doing it, I'm motivated to do what I need to do so I can go have fun.
Nice. Nice. Okay, Shae. Folks don't like this question, so I'm really going to enjoy asking it of you. Because that's what we do. We're besties. What was a most embarrassing moment for you as a child? What's one of those memories that kind of sticks out that still makes you cringe a little bit? Come on, Shae, give us the good stuff. Come on, don't filter.
Okay. Okay. So I did have a time in my life that was way too late in my toddlerhood that I was actually scared of rain. For real. Like, if you tried to take me in the rain, I would scream my head off because I didn't want rain touching me.
You're scared of lightning?
I am currently that is still a fear that I have is lightning. And there's a reason for that too. But I was actually scared of rain when I was little.
You were scared of thunder is what you're telling me.
No. That's not what I said. I said rain, water falling from the clouds. Yes. Do we need to talk about it anymore? I think we're done now.
I'm sorry for making that. I'm really sorry. Shae, what was your parenting style?
Oh gosh. My parents were fair and firm. Yeah. But definitely fair. And I pushed them a lot. I think they were very different with my oldest sister than they were with me. I'm the last of three. And my mom was 36 when she had me, so she was kind of tired.
And then here you come.
And then here I am, right. Why? Can I? Yeah.
Gosh, you were the why child.
Yeah, I was.
Shae, what was one big struggle that you went through, maybe through those preteen years or even in the teenage years? Do you remember something that maybe you struggled with, whether it was bullying or negative peer pressure? One of those moments.
Interesting. When I think about those years, the most challenging thing for me, I don't know if this qualifies as bullying or not, but I definitely had a hard time in like late elementary school, early part of middle school, because people, ironically, who have the same skin tone as I am, seem to have a problem with me because of the way I spoke. So I'd be called names like Oreo, or you think you're a white girl, or, whatever. I would that was the type of stuff. People would want to fight me because of the way I spoke. And so that was a challenge that I had probably for about 3 years in those times. Yeah. Those were the hardest times. I can't think of anything else, but I remember I remember someone wanting to beat me up because of the way I spoke. So
that's pretty ridiculous. Yeah. So how did those kids just did you just age out of it and you left the class, or how did you get through that period? My mom always taught me that you could, is the expression, I'm going to mess up the expression that she taught me. It's something like it's about flies and honey. I'm going to mess up the expression, but it's about flies and honey. The bottom line is that if you're nice to people, like basically when someone's being mean, when you're nice back to them, you kind of leave them defenseless, like you leave them with nothing to do because you're being nice. And so usually when people were rude to me, I would either ignore them or I would respond in kindness. And usually no one wanted to hear your kindness, but they also wouldn't continue to mess with you. So interesting.
Yeah. So that's how she taught me. Now the time that someone wanted to fight me was because I did not follow my mother's advice and I got an attitude and I made fun of the person back. So that's why they wanted to fight me. So when I didn't follow mom's advice, that's where I almost got in trouble.
Fascinating. Shae, what would you say is your number one job as mom?
Oh, wow. That's a really good question. I'd say that number one job for me as mom is to help my children in their spiritual development and knowing, who they are, who God created them to be. I think that's my most important assignment as a mom, for them to get to know him.
Yeah. All right, Shae, this has been fun. Before you go,
yes,
I got one more question for you.
You got it.
This is a request. So we're going to have you leave a time capsule for Anissa and Nia.
Oh, goodness.
Okay. So they're going to listen to this 30 years from now, the year 2045. Nia and Anissa will be grown, married, maybe even with their own little Shaes running around. Healthy, happy, thriving. And at that moment, they're going to be listening to what you're about to say. What would you like to say to your two beautiful, beautiful daughters about this moment in time? Why you parented them the way you did, why you and Phil made the decisions you did, even if the girls didn't understand sometimes, why you loved them as much as you did. Talk to your girls right now.
That is not a fair question to ask. You try to make people cry on your podcast. That's not cool. So I would tell my girls that I am extraordinarily proud of them and that I'm excited for where they are right now. Even though I don't know what their 30 years from now looks like, I know that they're in the place that God has them, and I'm excited about that. I'm excited that basically where my ceiling is, that's where their floor is. And so they'll go so much further. And that's exciting. You know, their kids get to go so much further, and their kids will get to know, you know, who they are earlier. You know, they're guided because basically what we've left for them, that they're able to then leave for their kids. You know, I'd also tell them that I learn so much from them. I learned just as much from them as they learned from me. I just learned different things, you know. And I would also tell them to pay close attention to their children because they're going to learn a lot from their kids as well. A whole lot.
You heard it here, folks. Shae Bynes, passionate storyteller, 3-time best-selling author, and teacher on God-centered business and marriage. Also, one of my besties. She's great. Love you, Shae. Thanks for coming on the show.
Love you, B. Thanks for having me.
All right, folks. This has been an amazing journey. To learn more about what Shae Bynes has to offer, you can find her at kingdom-driven-entrepreneur.com. You can also subscribe to her podcast. It's great. It is the Kingdom Driven Entrepreneur podcast. Shae is doing amazing things with youth entrepreneurship. She's doing amazing things for business people and married folks as well. She's got so much to offer, so check her out. Thanks for listening. We'll see you tomorrow on the Bravepreneur Parents Academy. Until then, up, up, and away!
Thanks for supporting my dad's show. If you like what you hear, please subscribe to iTunes. He said hot chocolate is for closers. If you don't subscribe, I don't get hot chocolate. I love hot chocolate.
Fear not. Although this chapter of Bravepreneur Parents Academy has come to its conclusion, we have many more adventures for you and your brave little heroes. Head over to bravequest.me for access to the Brave Quest Journal, an interactive activity playbook that rewards your little ones with points for accomplishing tasks that build character and unleash your child's inner superhero all before bedtime. We look forward to having you join us for more adventures next time on Bravepreneur Parents Academy.